My today's guest is Lily. Can you tell me how this journey started?
It started with 0 followers. A little bit annoyed by my corporate job. So I was always interested in fashion. Recently it was a super funny story because
Do you have a last advice that you want to share? Dear opportunity seekers, welcome to today's episode. My today's guest is Lily, and Lily is a renovated fashion influencer from Vienna. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You inspire so many people in the fashion industry. You inspire them through your outfits and through your videos as well. You're doing reels, and you also have a blog where you inspire people as well. So can you tell me how this journey started?
So this journey actually started back in 2023. I was a little bit annoyed by my corporate job because it was not creative at all. So I still work industry as well. So content is like more of a side hustle for me still. But yeah, I needed to create something where I could put my creativity in. So it started as a hobby, and more or less it became like also a part-time job, since it takes a lot of time and effort to put up presence on social media. I think sometimes people even underestimate how much time it consumes.
Yeah, it consumes so much time. You need to cut the reels, you need to prepare the reels, you need to have the idea what you want to do. So how did it start that you wanted to become an influencer in the first place?
So I was always interested in fashion, and I always loved photographing. So I think my mom got me my first camera when I was like 14 or so. First, I just did some photo shoots when I was traveling and these kind of situations. But at some point, I was like, I love fashion. And I just got my first mirrorless camera. It was back in 2020 when I first started to do outfit pics. But I was a little bit hesitant with posting on my social media account because so many people from school and also university followed me there. And I must say I didn't feel too comfortable with it because I was a bit afraid what they might think about me posting so many outfit pics. So yeah, 2023 was the time when I really needed more creativity in my life. And then I just decided, okay, you know what? I have on my private account, I had like 1K followers. So it was a bit hard to like make a new and fresh account with 0 followers. But I was on vacation with my mom and I had my camera with me. I took a few outfit pics and I created a new account and just started with, but my first post on my account, Lily Ferry. So yeah, I think that was the time.
Wow. And so you really started with 0 followers.
It started with 0 followers and then I had like 10, and I think after a week I had like 100. But like 100 was still like not a lot, and I was on my phone the whole time. I think I was on vacation back then, so I had a bit more time, but I was on my phone constantly to like reach 100 followers, and I was so proud that I did 100, and I knew, okay, it was still a lot less than on my private account where I had 1K followers. But then I think after 2 months I hit 1K followers there, so I was like, okay, now I'm on that level after only 2 months, and it made totally sense because only people followed me who were really interested in my topics, and yeah.
And now you have 10K followers.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not so much, but I think nowadays it's even harder to like really set up a fresh account and to start with like 0, because I feel like that the interest of people get lower a little bit since people don't want to spend so much time on their phones anymore. And I think it's really hard to find like your audience who is like really interested. And I think it's so much more complicated to like really find people who are willing to follow you and not only consume your content. So yeah, I heard about many content creators, they have problems with that.
But you're super happy that you started.
Obviously, yeah. It really fulfills me in a way that I can post whatever I want, also put in my creativity and my soul into this project, I would say.
So what advice would you give someone that also wants to start with 0 followers that he can do when he wants to start in the fashion industry?
I think this is not only just for the fashion industry, it is whenever you want to start like with social media. I think the most important thing is not to overthink. Just start out and make it happen. And I think overthinking can be like something that hinders you with doing content on social media. And if you are not feeling well with like the people who already know you, just create a new account and just do it. But like the other thing I would, especially in the beginning, really recommend to everyone is to build an audience and to build a community who supports you. And I met so many wonderful girls on social media support each other. Kind of even like a friendship or like, yeah, a long distance friendship with some girls. And I even met some in real life. Like when I traveled, for example, to Amsterdam, I met a really nice girl there. And yeah, it's just so fun that you get to know people from all over the world. And I could travel to New York City or to Berlin or wherever and meet people I already know and to have a drink together. And I think this is super cool.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean, because since I started my podcast, I also met so many incredible people. And as you already mentioned, having a community who supports you, I think is one of the most beautiful things.
Right.
So how do you use your creativity in your, for example, reels or also in your blogs?
It really depends. Like I have more creative phases and less creative phases. And I think it's really important to just go with the flow. And if you have like less creativity at some point, I think it's important that you don't give up at this point and just make as much content as you feel comfortable with. So when I hit 10K, it was super demotivating for me because I felt like it was such a huge achievement for me, but it was also at the other side so hard to like think about the next 10K to achieve. And at this point I just realized it's not so much about the numbers. It's more like you should enjoy what you do, and the algorithm changes all the time and you have to change your way of posting also just to the algorithm. Yeah, and you always have to find new ways, and if you get too much distracted by the numbers in the algorithm, if you're only focusing on the numbers, it hinders your creativity. And I think it's important that you just focus on how you want to express yourself and not about always thinking what to do and how to shoot and how to do it like the algorithm wants you to do it. So yeah.
I think that it's really important that you enjoy what you're doing, because you started with this creative idea. And I think, as you said, if you have those short periods where you're not creative, you should stick there and also continue, even if you don't feel like do it. And then I think you get into this flow again. How have you handled the pressure? Because I think that's a pressure that you set to yourself to gain more followers and also be creative.
I think it was important to pressure myself, especially in the beginning. Like the first 1,000 followers was really hard. But like honestly, they say it gets easier, but yeah, maybe the first 1,000 was like especially hard because you have to gain a social proof on social media that you have a certain number of followers so that people are more willing to follow you. But then again, I feel like it's so very complicated to find new people. I think you really have to work with the algorithm if your numbers are like really important to you. But especially in the beginning, the pressure was really necessary because I had to put in so many hours of work. And if I wouldn't have felt this pressure, I think I wouldn't have done so much. But I must really say that I'm a very ambitious person, and I wanted to succeed with like achieving the number of follower count that I wanted. So definitely helped being ambitious, but yeah.
And how has it helped you to grow personally, for example, and also professionally?
So every achievement that you make, I think it's something to grow with and on, and it helps to become a stronger person. And especially if I think that, okay, like for example, I just started with a new master's, and I already have a master's. And if I think about that I'm so stressed in my new master's, but if I remember, okay, Lily, you already have a master's, you could manage it. I know you were super stressed back then, but you can do it. And I think it's the same with social media. Like when I know, okay, I could achieve 10K followers, I know I could achieve another 10K if I really wanted to. Right now, I don't have the time to put in so much effort like I used to, but I think it's also important to sometimes step back a little bit and to also focus on other important aspects in your life.
Of course, and I think another important thing that I wanted to ask you beforehand is going out of the comfort zone, because with your videos, you're going out of the comfort zone all the time. You're, for example, filming yourself on the street where there are strangers, and yeah, you step out of the comfort zone. So if a person has issues with stepping outside, which advice can you give to help him or her to really gain towards his goal?
I think stepping out of your comfort zone is a complicated issue because it relies on many different factors. I think I'm an introverted extrovert, so I like to be with people a lot. Sometimes I need also my privacy and like time alone, but I also love to be with people. So it's hard to say to like showing yourself if you're kind of extroverted is much easier than showing yourself if you're only like an introvert. But yeah, stepping out of your comfort zone can be in so many different aspects. So yeah, for me, when it comes to filming outside, even though I like to be in the middle of action, I would say, yeah, it's still hard. I really got used to it. So I was like, okay, I want to do this. I'm just doing it without like focusing on all the other people around me. Recently, it was a super funny story because if I start thinking about it, I don't know, sometimes I even feel a little bit ashamed, like because people have such a negative image about influencers, and I feel like I don't want people to think about me, oh, whenever a girl who thinks she's an influencer and takes outfit pics on the street and she's in my way. So I always try to be careful and not to hinder people while they are going on the street, and I always try to be super polite to them. Story I wanted to tell you is recently I went to Hofburg, and as you know, there are many tourists, and I kind of realized that a group of teenager girls, were sitting at the stairs of Hofburg, and they were looking at me, but like I was really trying to concentrate on my work and not really recognize them, because once you get to the point that you start thinking about it, you get nervous, obviously. But yeah, suddenly one of the girls stood up and came to me and was like, oh, we were looking at you, and can you give me your Instagram name, because we would really love to support you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this was so cute. And I gave her my Instagram name, and she went back to her friends, and I was like, she was so cute. I'm going over to the girls and asked them if they want to get a pic from me. So I took my camera and shot a few pictures of them, and I sent them the pictures per mail, and they were so happy. And yeah, it made me also happy too.
Yeah, I think when you have the possibility to inspire others, that's really so beautiful. And when you can make their life happier, for example, as you did when you shoot pictures of them and then you send them and then they get happy and then you also influence them with your creativity.
You just really have to think about positive things that could happen if you step out of your comfort zone and try new things. And also, as I just said, it's so nice what kind of people you can meet. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that is really important. So your platform radiates with creativity and also empowerment. How do you use those tools to inspire others? For example, that they find joy in their lives and that they are also really happy what you are sharing with them, your advice on fashion, that they also go towards their goals, or for example have different aspects how to change the outfit.
I think I really just want to emphasize how important it is to wear whatever makes you feel good, because I must say not everyone likes my style, and that's okay. I think not everyone needs to like it. It's about yourself, because I think you don't dress for anyone else than you. And I think this is something I really want to show with my outfits, that I just style them in a way that I think is good for me and that makes me feel good. And I think it's really important that people, if they want to express themselves with their outfits, they should not overthink what they want to wear. I think it's important to just wear whatever comes to a person's mind and not to overthink it.
Yeah, and fashion is also an expression of yourself, of your inner and outer world. What advice would you give someone if he doesn't have any clue how to dress?
I think there are some fashion rules you should follow, but I think it's also cool to break these rules. Like, I think I personally break the rules quite some time. Today I'm wearing brown and black, and I think there is some kind of a rule that you should never match brown with black, but I think it's just cool to break some kind of rules. Maybe if you want to just start out with fashion, it maybe makes sense to not break the rules at first and maybe just to learn and see what kind of styles you like on yourself, what also really helps. And actually, it improved my style a lot since I've started with my account. Like, I was always into fashion. Like, when I think back with 7 years, I already said that my dream job was becoming a fashion designer. It really helped me when I started with the outfit pics, because I feel like it looks different on a picture than in the mirror. So I think a good thing is to really take a picture of your outfit and analyze it and think about it if you like it on yourself or not. And I think this really helps to improve your style. And yeah, after some time, when you kind of get a feeling to it, you can also break the rules of fashion. What I just said, brown and black, there was always a fashion rule that said your shoes have to match your bag, and in my opinion this rule doesn't really exist. So as long as both pieces fit your outfit, it's totally fine, and it could look even more interesting if they don't match but match the vibe of the outfit.
And there is a saying, because I use it to gain more confidence, for example, for myself, that I use beautiful outfits where I feel comfortable in. What would you suggest if someone starts with dressing, or what impact do you think fashion or your outfit has on your confidence?
I think there is no specific outfit to strengthen your self-esteem, because it really depends in what kind of outfit you feel comfortable. I heard that many people feel more comfortable in wearing black, but others also say that they can kind of hide behind the color of black. So yeah, I personally really like black because it has some kind of an edgier touch, and it's just what I like. I also like to add some elements from the music I like to my outfits. So if I'm really happy with the look, and it's, yeah, in many cases it's black, but not in all cases. If you imagine that you meet your boss and you want to ask for a pay raise, I would not choose an outfit where you don't feel good in it. So choose a dress or something where you feel like you look in the mirror and you feel like a bit better in it. And that's the outfit I would choose on that day, because it's just, I think it gives you something that you feel a bit more confident.
You mean that you choose an outfit where you feel, oh, I can do this, I can get the pay raise, and I'm super confident in it, and I know that I can get it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And what would you say is success for you? Because you started your channel, you now have some cooperations with different brands, and I think that's really awesome. So congratulations on this. So how would you define success for you?
I think this term, like success, is a very broad term, and there are many ways to see success. I think success is, for me, is something where I can manage to do all the things I want to do and to still find time for the things I really want to do and to handle all of these, because it can be quite challenging. But if you manage to do this, for me, that's kind of an aspect of success. I wouldn't measure success in numbers. As I already mentioned, numbers can be important to reach certain collaborations. I've heard about companies that want, for example, work with you if you have less than 10K followers. But anyway, I already scored great brand corporations when I just had like 2,000-3,000 followers. Like, for example, the watch that I'm wearing today, that's from a Danish company, and I think I had like 2,000 or 3,000 followers back then, and it's a really famous company. So I was quite proud at this point when I landed this corporation.
And you just mentioned that it's really difficult to have time for yourself and also enough time for your brand and enough time for your main job. How do you handle this, and how do you bring enough joy and self-love into your life?
When I started out with social media, it was very challenging, and I think especially for my relationship with my boyfriend, this was kind of a bad time back then, because he really recognized that my time was very limited and I was constantly either working or on my phone. So it was a hard time, but I feel like after some time you kind of figure out how to handle certain things, especially because you get faster with shooting content, because you already know how to set up your camera and you don't lose so much time with certain things. I think it helps to juggle all of these things in your life, yeah.
And what is your heart beating for?
I think at some point I want to earn all my money with a job where I can say that I'm passionate about it. I think the most joy can come from that, because your job takes so much room in your life and you really need to enjoy it. And for now, social media is still a side hustle for me. But yeah, at some point I don't want to say that I can imagine working in social media full time. Maybe I can. Maybe it would be too much the same all the time. And maybe I also like to have like different things I can do and maybe concentrate on more than one thing at a time. But I think this is like very personal, and it depends on the person, how a person prefers to have.
What advice would you give to the audience? You started with social media 1 year ago and you have now 10K followers and you're really passionate about it. And if someone is watching your videos, you can really see how you love it and how you love creating this content, how you love to show the different outfits and everything like that. So what advice would you give someone if he's standing at the beginning, if he don't know what to do and who's not feeling ready to step out of his comfort zone?
It really depends on what you want to achieve, but what really helped me was to just start watching other content, and not only to watch how they create it, because I think it's important you have to have your own style of doing things, but I think it's also really enriching if you get some inspiration from others. But that's not only what I would recommend, but I also consumed content about how to get started with a project. In my case, it was social media, but it can be anything. And there are like many YouTubers especially who have like social media as their main topic, and they try to give different tips on how to get started. And you can't imagine how many videos I've watched, and I educated myself in this aspect. It's also important to stay up to date. Like, these YouTubers always give you tips also about the algorithm, as it constantly changes, but like also tips on how to start a channel on YouTube, or how to start a page on Instagram. But I feel like there are different YouTubers in all kind of aspects. Also, if you want to land a corporate job, for example, and how you can land a corporate, and there's so much different educational material online, and I think this really helps. And as we have talked about self-esteem, I think there are also people like you, for example, who try to encourage other people. And I think it's important, especially for people who think that they have a lower self-esteem, like really get motivated by creators who focus on this topic. I even paid for a few courses that were like about social media and how to set up your platform on social media, because I felt like you also have to value the work of these content creators. And I felt like I only invested in a few specific content creators that I thought they make such valuable content already on YouTube, and my expectation was high that they could also give advice in their paid courses that would be of great interest for me. And I must say, every cent was worth it, and I learned so much from them. And especially,
can you say the names? Because maybe it helps someone.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of my favorite persons, unfortunately it's in German, but I think his name is Sebastian Klaus. His social media is CB Force, but like his videos are, you know him, yeah. His videos, I think they are super relevant if you are a content creator on Instagram. Like, I learned so many different tips from him, and I also paid for his course, and yeah, it was very valuable.
And what's on your bucket list on things you want to do in your life?
So for now, I only had cooperations with different companies where I got the product from the company, and in return, I had to post the video or whatever we agreed on. I know that our creators who have the same follower count like me already get paid, but I must say I wasn't so much behind it, because I have many other projects in my life that were like more important recently. But yeah, that's something that I would be really proud about, this I also paid for it. Other things that are on my bucket list is that, yeah, I've lived abroad 2 times already. And the last time when I lived abroad, I had to get back to Vienna because of the pandemic. It was March 2020 when I moved back to Vienna. And yeah, I'm always excited about moving abroad. And at some point, I also want to have children. So I was thinking, before I get a child, maybe it would be fun to like really one time again go abroad and experience new things, because these experiences were so enriching for me. Like, once I lived in the United States and one in the United Kingdom, and I really want to put another country on my list. I don't know which country yet, but yeah.
Yeah, then I cross my fingers and you're getting those contracts, and that you also move abroad and have a happy family. And thank you. So thank you again for today's interview. Do you have a last advice that you want to share with the audience?
try to believe in your dreams and your passion and try to make it happen, because as you know, you only live once and you should not waste your time doing something you don't like.
I think that's a really important message. So thank you again for being my guest today, and thank you for your valuable input. Thank you for listening us today, and all the best, your Alex.